Alright, so this explains to us the first resurrection and the second resurrection, roughly. I'm going to go back and later go over the heresies, because there are people, many Christians, that believe that the rapture is going to happen after the tribulation. They call it the post-tribulation rapture. We believe in the pre-tribulation rapture. There are also there's such thing as post-millennialists. And so I'm going to have to give you the heresies, and I'm going to demonstrate to you why we put these things together. A lot of these things are not explicit, like the Bible does not say it, well, this is in this order, and this order, and this order, then this will happen. No, you have to put all these things together. You have to understand why the Old Testament believers are going to be resurrected with Army Group C and not with the church age, and all these things. And so let us continue, because our time is short. So the first the rapture will occur, which will resurrect all church age believers. 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verse 13 and 18. Then the great genuflex will occur, where all church age believers in a resurrected body will worship Christ and will sing the hymn of Revelation chapter 5. And this is in Romans chapter 14, verse 11, Philippians chapter 2, verses 9 and 11. At this moment, there is no distinction yet between loser believers and winner believers. So no one has the distinctions yet, because the judgment seat of Christ has not occurred yet. So everyone is just equal at this moment. Everyone's very happy. Everyone can now lucidly see everything and see the Lord Jesus Christ for who he is and what he is. And they can now see the big picture. But then the judgment seat of Christ will take place for the next 7 years. That's enough time to prepare the bride. The body of Christ is the name for the royal family of God here and on the earth. The bride of Christ is the name for the royal family of God up in heaven. And it's all known as the church, ecclesia. So yes, 7 years. The bride is going to be prepared for the 7 years. 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 10. This is where the distinctions will be made. There's going to be winner believers and loser believers. And we just saw that in our passage. The reason why you that pursue the honor to be well-pleasing to God, whether present in the body or absent from the body. Super grace of hope 2 and super grace of hope 3. The loser believers will experience shame. Philippians chapter 3, verse 18. 1 John chapter 2, verse 28. Winner believers will not experience shame. Romans chapter 5, verse 5. 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 5. Let's look at the shame of the unbelievers. Philippians chapter 3, verse 18. Obviously, they probably do not feel shame at this moment, even though shame is a thing that can occur any moment. By the way, shame and guilt. If a person does not have virtue, if a person does not have integrity, what is he lowered down to? He's lowered down to the lowest denominator, so to speak. And the lowest denominator is guilt and shame. See, that's what the cosmic system does. The cosmic system has, as the motivator, arrogance. Gate 1 of cosmic 1. It's arrogance. And so there's no virtue. Virtue and integrity is the antithesis of arrogance. Arrogance says anything goes as long as you elevate yourself, as long as you satiate that lust and meet that approbation and attention lust, so that you can feel pompous, so that you can feel self-important, so that you can feel like the great person that you are. So anything goes so long as you meet that arrogant standard. See, there's no virtue. You are lower down to guilt and shame. That's the only thing that keeps you from doing some terrible things. Because there's no virtue and there's no integrity, you are lower down to guilt and shame. And that's the only thing that prevents you from doing some terrible things. The fear of feeling guilt because you did not do this. The fear of feeling ashamed because you did this instead of doing that. That's an animal instinct. Just as a dog who's doing something he's not supposed to do, and you say, "Hey, what are you doing?" And then the dog looks down or turns away in shame. Or when the dog does something he's not supposed to do because you were gone, and he rips those that so fall apart, and then he comes with the tail in between his legs. He's feeling guilty. That's an animal instinct. There's nothing noble about a guilt complex, a guilt feeling, a guilt trip. There's nothing noble about shame. It's all arrogance. And when you are lowered down just to that being your only standard, the fear of feeling shame, the fear of feeling guilty, then there's no virtue at all. You're just back all the way down to animal instinct. And that's what people do. And at work, what do? They just do things to meet their arrogance. And then the only virtue that they have is them preventing that fear of feeling guilty or feeling shame. That's all it is. It's an animal instinct. Okay, well, talk about shame. Let's go over Philippians chapter 3, verse 18. For, as I have often told you before, and I'll tell you again, remember, Paul was not as scared to repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat. Verse 18. We're not going to go over the Greek right now. I don't think I remember this. I tell you, even weeping now, klaio. Now, even weeping, I say. Okay, I said I was not going to go over the Greek. With tears, many live as enemies of the cross of Christ. These are reversionistic believers. These are not unbelievers, by the way. They live as enemies of the cross of Christ. Verse 19. Their end, whose end is destruction, the sin unto death. Of whose, totelos, the end. Whose end is the sin unto death. That's going to be the end of their phase 2 life. Whose God is their koilia. This is an empty sack, their stomach, not their appetites, their emotions. Their emotions are empty sacks. That's what it's used for in the Bible, because it's empty. They have no thought content, the emotions. Their God is their emotions. So whatever makes them feel good, whatever makes them feel adequate, whatever makes them feel like they're supposed to, whatever way they're supposed to feel, that is their God. If it feels good, that is what dictates how they're supposed to act. If it makes them feel bad, then that's what they're not supposed to do. Their emotions are their God. And it obviously follows, if that's your system of thinking or lack of thinking, their glory, doxa, is their shame. The shame at the judgment seat of Christ. Those who think earthly things. Those who think earthly things, yes. They who think earthly things. So this is very important, because shame is very much part of what awaits the reversionistic believer. Anyone in the cosmic system. Shame is part of the cosmic system. Guilt is part of the cosmic system. And if you have no virtue and you're lowered down all the way to just the only impediment that you have is that guilt feeling or that shame feeling, you're in your animal instinct. You're called a dog by the Bible. A dog is not seen as an honorable animal according to the Bible. It is now that we've made pets out of them and they're wonderful pets, but keep in mind that the origin of the dog back in the days, they were not honorable at all. They were a very dishonorable animal. Okay. Point 2, the concept of Stephanos and the adeima. The adeima, by the way, it's a crown. That's the crown of a king, the adeima. The Stephanos that we have here is a wreath made out of leaves, laurel leaves, the grass leaves, the fig leaves. So it's not very glorious, but the meaning behind it and the recompenses that go along with it is what is wonderful. Stephanos, the wreath, has a double connotation, for the wreath was given both to Romans as military decorations and to Greeks as awards to the winners of the games. So yes, both the Romans and the Greeks used the wreaths for different purposes. Let's look at the Romans first. The different wreaths were awarded as military decorations. We have the first one, the main one, Corona Obsidionalis, or the Corona Graminea. This is the grass wreath, golden grass. This is the highest award given to the soldier who saved many lives, a whole legion or an army, by lifting the siege of the enemy or any other great feat. Something so great as some psychological warfare that you duped a whole army, with the result that there was no need for you to fight, and therefore you saved your whole army from fighting. You defeated the enemy without having to lift arms. Take up arms. B. Second is the Corona Civica, reward to the man who saved a Roman citizen's life and remained alive for the rest of the day. Why remain alive for the rest of the day? Because there was no posthumous awards in Rome. We do have them. We have the posthumous Congressional Medal of Honor. But for the Romans, it wasn't. You had to remain alive. And then also you could see that saving a Roman citizen's life was very important. They saw citizenship as one of the highest honors. See the Corona Nawalis, and the name says it all, reward for the first man to set a foot on an enemy vessel, and this is in naval battles. The Corona Muralis, reward to the first man to enter or breach the wall of an enemy city. So this takes a lot of courage. If you're in the front lines and you're about to get up there into the mural, you're most likely going to die. You're going to be hit. You're going to be the first one right there. Everyone's going to be looking at you. But if you're the first one to take that step and you remain alive, boom, you deserve a Corona Muralis. The Corona Castresis, reward to the first man to enter or breach the wall of an enemy camp. This is similar to the Muralis as well. And so there's more, by the way. There's also wreaths used by the Greeks. And we've gone over this in the games. And so there was such thing as the Olympic Games, which had died out at this time. They were trying to be revived, but they did not. The Nemean Games were the ones that were very popular. The Isthmus Games in Corinth, they did live in the Isthmus after all. And the Pythian Games. And so, what was the process of all this? First of all, you had to be an athlete, and you had to register. You had to prove yourself, your citizenship. You had to prove that you had a clean record. There was nothing iffy about you. And so this is analogous to you having to be a believer, a member of the royal family of God in order for you to compete. And so once you were accepted, you submitted yourself to a 10-month training that was very, very intense. It was strict. And so this is tantamount to the phase 2 spiritual life. And so you had to obey all the trumpet calls. All the trumpet calls. There was a trumpet call for workout. There was a trumpet call for wake up. There was a trumpet call for eating food. And all the athletes had to eat the same food, which was wheat, barley, water, lean meat. There was no alcohol, and there was no women. You were not able to have your lovely girlfriend there. You were not able to get her in there. No sexual relationships. And so everyone had to eat the same food. And this is analogous to us having the same doctrine, all of us. If you were to get caught disobeying any of these trumpet mandates, if you were to get caught getting out and visiting your beloved mother or your cute girlfriend, you would be disqualified immediately. And that's tantamount to the sin unto death. And when it was the time of workout, it doesn't matter if you were a boxer or a runner, you all did the same exercises. Everyone. But that's not my expertise. Yet you still had to do the same exercise. And that's tantamount to us. We all have to go through similar discipline, similar learning Bible doctrine, the similar exercises, the same gates of the divine power sphere. At the end, finally, after all the workouts, you were able to focus on your area of expertise. So, to the winner as well, you would get this wreath. And there were many different ivory wreath, etc. And the wreath really doesn't mean much, but the recompense is what means a lot. So you will go back to your hometown, and they would not enter you through the main gate, but they would cut a hole on the wall, on the mural, and put you in through there. And then they would seal it with a plaque. And the plaque was a commemoration to you, to your victory, and it says something like, through here walked in, I don't know, Augustus or something, I don't know. And then there was a procession, and you would be walked in a chariot of gold, and all the women would throw their perfumes at you, and all the men throw their flowers, and there you were. And finally, there was a sculptor who made a great sculpture in your name. He was funded at public expense. And then there was also a great bard, a poet, yes. And he would write a great poem to you. And all your children were also fed at public expense forever, and they were exempted from taxes as well. They were also educated at public expense. And then you also had a free ticket to all the future games thereafter. So you can see how this was the highest honor. And this is also analogous to us. And even though we receive a little crown, the crown of glory, the crown of righteousness, the recompenses that go along with it, the super grace blessings of Hope 3 are the things that matter.